All right. Shalom, Makim, and Akwa. All right, this is Brother Osmond Walk once again with another lesson. First and foremost, we're going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shah, by Hashem Rakakadash. And I want to give, honors to, my teachers who taught me this truth. All right, and we're just going to jump off into it. All right, we're going to touch into this article shortly. We're not going to make this long and drawn out. We're going to touch into this article that you see here in front of your screen, and it says Putin warns America may regret using dollar as sanctions weapons. Right? Let's read that again. Putin warns America may regret using dollar as sanctions weapons. Right? Because a sanction is basically where these countries basically put rules and regulations and limits on what each other what they can do as far as trade, international trade. If say for instance, if a country is, pissed off at another country, they can stop trading with that country, and that's called a sanction, right? And America is known for doing that, man, because there was a time where America, used to be, the biggest and baddest bully, out there in the block. But, with now all these other nations having a stronger, currency than America. And as a matter of fact, Russia, just this year, I believe, either this year or the end of last year, Russia actually just had their currency just basically overturn or topple America's currency, basically meaning that it's more powerful than America's currency. America's pretty much the American dollar is pretty much the weakest currency that there is out there right now, right? Because it's not backed by anything. All right, so right now Putin is warning America that that they regret using the U.S. dollars as sanctions weapons, right? So basically, Putin is speaking this big talk, as they can right now, because they have a better defense system and offense system, when it comes to war, and they also have a better economy, man. So these nations, they're not afraid of America anymore because they got their own. They sucked America dry. They used this whore, as for what she is, what she has to offer. And they dissed her like the scripture said that they would. They drunk her wine, then they woke up, and then they got mad at her, man. And they took everything that they could from this whore. And now they're about to burn her with fire and eat her flesh, like Revelation chapter 17 says. But let's read a little bit more of this article. He says, Russia has to adopt other payment methods because the U.S. uses its national currency for various kinds of sanctions. All right, so what is that going to cause? That's going to cause less purchasing power here in America, because if Russia is going to be accepting the U.S. dollar, right, in these foreign exchanges, these foreign trades, well, that means that the dollar, isn't going to be circulating as much in the economy, which would basically lead to what? Hyperinflation, man. All right, that's going to make them spend more and more money. All right, and it says, make more and more money. He says, Russia has to adopt other payment methods because the U.S. uses its national currency for various kinds of sanctions. Putin said late Friday in St. Petersburg at a video conference with representatives of international media organizations. We don't want this deliberately. We are forced to do it. Yeah, he says we are forced to do it. And who's, as we touch it too often, who's forcing, right, these kings to make these decisions? It's the book of Proverbs 21, verse 1. And it says the king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh. Yeah, that word heart doesn't mean your physical, organ that's pumping blood throughout your body. The heart in the Hebrew is la'ah, which means your mind, right? So the king's mind is literally in the hand of the Most High God. All right, he says, as the rivers of water, he turneth it whatsoever he will. So the Lord is basically turning these kings' minds, to fulfill his purpose, to fulfill his will. And, we touch into it often, about World War III, which, newsflash, World War III is already here. But before it manifests into this full out showdown, you have a lot of these little micro wars, if you will, which basically going to thrust, that physical war to be out there in the open. But those little micro wars is really implemented by what? Currency wars, right? And that's not talked about as much, because it's kind of hidden out there in the background, but when you look behind the scenes, this is what's really going to make these other nations, this is what's going to really make these nations you know, to you know, to put them, to, you know, to bring out the nukes, bring out the missiles, right? Because like book 1 Timothy chapter 6 says, it says, for the love of riches, right? I mean, for the love of money is the root of all evil. And as a matter of fact, let's grab this in the book of Sirach, right? Because that's why these kingdoms are being toppled over. All right, this is the book of Sirach 10. We'll start at verse 8. He says, because of unrighteous dealings, right? And America is known for unrighteous dealings, man. You know, and once again, we already know what happened to our ancestors, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, the rape, rob, murder, and pillage over our ancestors. That would be obviously considered unrighteous dealings. You know, and America also deals unrighteously with these other heathen nations. You know, when it comes to foreign trade and exchange and imports and exports, right? And that's why Putin and China as well is speaking big game. You know, basically taking the U.S. dollar out of power by, you know, sanctioning them. You know, because America used to be the only country to really sanction other countries, but now, as we can see, Russia's like, nah, we're gonna sanction your ass too. All right, because they can. Because once again, they got the military might, and they also have a better purchasing power than America now. It says, but because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches gotten by deceit, and that's exactly how America got her riches, right? By free labor, man. Riches gotten by deceit. The kingdom is translated from one people to another. All right, and let's grab this real quick in Proverbs 13 and 11. He says, wealth gotten by vanity shall be diminished. And that's what we're seeing, man. America's wealth is being diminished before our eyes. You know, all praises to that, man, because you know, it just seemed like this man will never go down. But the way how this man came up, this is the same way how the Lord is going to take this man out. How did he come up? He came up by his birthright, by that blessing of birthright, which is what? The sword. And he also came up by unrighteous, you know, dealings, you know, when it came to currency, man. You know, he says, wealth gotten by vanity shall be diminished, but he that gathers by labor shall be increased. And who's that being increased right now? And who's that's gathering by labor? None other than the teachers and the prophets that you see, you know, that the Lord has risen up in these latter days to feed the sheep, man. Right? The Lord is increasing his men, right? Because we're the only true workers out here, man. That's gathering, you know, by labor. All these other people, they're gathering, you know, by because of vanity and covetousness, man. Right? So the Lord is going to topple them down. But yeah, let's go here. Let's go back to currency war, because this is really the war that's being waged right now, man. The elites, you know, before they like we said, before they really get the showdown, you know, cracking, you know, on the physical war. This is what they're fighting right now. And this is what's going to basically thrust them into that physical war. It says currency war, also known as competitive devaluations, and that's what we're seeing, competitive devaluations. And America's monetary system, currency, is being devalued each and every single day. You know, don't be surprised one morning if you wake up, you know, and they have on your news that your dollar doesn't, you know, have any type of purchasing power, you know, because that's shortly about to come to pass, man. You know, and these elites, they're orchestrating it. You know, this is all by design, you know, from the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Basham Al-Shah. That's like it, but I had to sneeze there. But it says currency war, also known as competitive devaluations, is a condition in international affairs where countries seek to gain a trade advantage over other countries by causing the exchange rate of their currency to fall in relation of other currencies. And that's why Putin is basically telling America that, you know, they should feel sorry for putting sanctions upon them, you know, at certain points, because now Putin, you know, Russia and also China, you know, they can play a part of this competitive devaluation now because they have that power. Right? It says, as the exchange rate of a country's currency falls, exports become more competitive in other countries, and imports into it's lucky, man. Must be some pollen out here. It says, and imports into the country become more and more expensive. And that's what's about to be going on, man. right? These goods that you usually get, such as, a loaf of bread, a gallon of milk or whatever, gasoline. Hey, these prices, they're going to be they're rising, more and more each and every day. Gas is creeping up every single day. It hasn't lit up ever since that Colonial Pipeline shut down, all right? So this is just an example of, imports being more and more expensive. He says both effects benefit the domestic industry and thus employment, which receives a boost in demand from both domestic and foreign markets. However, the price increases for import goods as well as in the cost of foreign travel are unpopular as they harm citizens' purchasing power. And that's what this thing is all about. Purchasing power. Let's go into that word, purchasing power. It says purchasing power is the amount of goods and services that can be purchased with a unit of currency. Right? Let's read that again. Purchasing power is the amount of goods and services that can be purchased with a unit of currency. Right? With that unit of currency being what? $1, $5, $10, $20. Right? Just how, for an example, like my grandpa, used to tell me, a loaf of bread, back in the day used to cost 5 cents, but then, as the years progress, that 5 cents turned into, 15 cents turned into 50 cents. And now you're paying down, $2.35, $3, and, most places really, honestly, about $3.50 for a loaf of bread. Well, why is that? Because this currency isn't backed by anything. And inflation has been going on, throughout the duration of those years. But hyperinflation is when basically inflation shoots up, in an acute measure of time, right? So with these other countries putting sanctions upon America, right, this is going to thus cause hyperinflation, which is going to make mass hysteria, and it's going to make people just, bug out. And eventually you're not going to have any money to buy just one slice of bread. And that's going to basically thrust everyone into the time of famine. The time of famine, because everything is prophetic, man. All right, let's grab this real quick. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 6. Let's go to chapter 9. 2nd Ezra 9. We'll start at verse 1. He says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And how do you measure the time? Simply by the prophecies. He says, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. And the Lord is definitely visiting this world by different means, such as earthquakes. There's as a matter of fact, I had a headline pop up on my phone how just within the past week there's been over 600 earthquakes, man, in California alone. 600. Whether they were, good sized ones or, even small ones. But nonetheless, there were earthquakes. And this is how the Lord said that he was going to visit the world in Isaiah chapter 29. He said that he was going to visit the world in earthquakes, and fires and pestilences. And that's what's going on. All right. Verse 3, he says, therefore, when thou shalt see, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes, see that? Earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, right? And those uproars of the people of the world, that's going on right now, man. Our people are still marching in the streets, in an uproar for the so-called, well, not so-called, but for the unjust killings, that's been going on. These other nations and kings, they're in the uproars with each other, China, Russia, India, Babylon, right? Verse 4, he says, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world had a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Now, to dive a little more into what the end is, well, the Bible tells you what or who the end is. 2nd Ezra 6 and 9, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. So Esau is the end. So he says that the end is manifest. Yeah, Esau's time to rule is now, is now made obvious and clear that he's on his way out, man. Because we see things like this, this man falling out of economic power, that's how you know that that's the act of the Lord. This is truly an act of the Lord, and it's let's grab that real quick, right? Because this man literally came into power, built up this country off of free labor, all right? Trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars off of free labor. And now he's in debt. He's in more debt than any other nation, right? How do you build up something for, absolutely completely free, and you're basically the poorest nation, although America doesn't, picture itself as the poorest nation because it has this phony facade to it, and basically the Jewish bankers and, the elites are basically upholding this place. But, when it comes to the value of this currency, man, hey, tomorrow, it can easily be said, by the news media that, your currency doesn't mean anything. So this place is really the poorest nation, man. So this is how you know that's the act of the Lord. The Lord has smitten this place. That's why he says that Babylon is taken. There's no reason why, a nation, that built itself up off of free labor should be, in this much debt. So this is none other than the work of the Lord, man. Right? This is Habakkuk chapter 1, verse 5. He says, "Behold ye among the heathen, and regard and wonder marvelously." And that's what we're doing, man. We're wondering marvelously of all the strange acts of the Lord. All right. He says, "For I will work a work in your days, all right, which you will not believe, though it be told you." Right. And the Lord is definitely working a work in our days. Right. And many people don't believe it, but reality is hitting them dead smack in the face. All right. Let's get one more article I had pulled up. Right, because this is something else that's going on. It's trade war. So you got currency war and you got trade war, and these wars is basically what's going to, basically usher in, World War III to its fullest extent. Trade war is an economic conflict resulting from extreme protectionism, in which states raise or create tariffs or begin or other trade barriers against each other in response to trade barriers created by the other party, aka sanctions, man. So now, Russia and China, now they have that power to partake into these trade wars. And America ain't used to that, man. America's used to everybody, getting down with their program. But now, since these other nations have a one-up on America, America's going to have a hard time keeping up. And it's already been known that that America has the weakest defense system, has a weak defense system. She's not as technological advanced when it comes to her missiles, her ICBM missiles, and obviously, like we're going into, her defense, her currency isn't strong anymore, right? So these other nations are about to make this place desolate. So this is Job chapter 20. Let me grab that in the NLT. Let's go to Job 20 NLT. It says, let's read this real quick. Verse 12, he says, "They enjoyed the sweet taste of wickedness." Right? And America has definitely enjoyed that sweet taste of wickedness. All right? He says, "Letting it melt under their tongue, they savored it, holding it in their mouths. But suddenly the food in their bellies turned sour, and poisonous venom in their stomach." All right, so the very same thing that this woman ate, which was what? Unrighteous dealings and deceitful riches. This is what America's eating. Now it's turned sour in this place's stomach. It says, "They will vomit the wealth they swallowed." Verse 15, let's read that again. "They will vomit the wealth they swallowed. Yahweh won't let them keep it down." And that's what's going on. The Most High is basically making America regurgitate all the wealth, right, that she has swallowed down unrighteously. It says, "They will suck the poison of cobras. The viper will kill them. They will never again enjoy streams of olive oil, of rivers of milk and honey." Check this out, verse 18. "They will give back everything they worked for," right? And they're going to give some of it back, but they're really going to give it back once they, basically become slaves and servants to us in the kingdom of heaven. Thus fulfilling the prophecy of Isaiah 61, Isaiah chapter 60, Isaiah chapter 14, right? That's when they're going to get back everything. They're going to get back everything plus double, man, right? He says their wealth will bring them no joy. And America's wealth is bringing them no joy, man, right? Verse 19 says, "For they oppressed the poor and left them destitute." All right, is that not what America does? All right, they oppress the poor and needy. All right, it says they foreclosed on their homes See that? And as a matter of fact, it's already been made known, man, that just in this fall time, they're estimating around, man, I can't remember the exact number, but over 1 million people are going to have to foreclose on their home, man, because of the pandemic, and then they're about to basically get rid of unemployment. All right, so hey, we're reading a prophecy right here about Babylon the Great, man. It says, verse 20, they were always greedy and never satisfied. Nothing remains of all the things they dreamed about. Nothing is left after they finish gorging themselves. Therefore, their prosperity will not endure. So, yep. So there we have it once again, man. The Bible, bringing to light. The Bible bringing to light, what's going on here. We got answers now, man. We got answers out this holy book. All right, something that people take for granted. But now we have. Let's grab that real quick in 2 Peter. We have a light, man. As a matter of fact, I want to get the one in Proverbs. We have a light to basically give us direction in this land of darkness. It's Proverbs 4:18. He says, but the path of the just is as the shining light. And the path that we take, man, is none other than the way. John 14:6, which is none other than Yahweh Shai. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. And Yahweh Shai has given us what? The spirit of prophecy. He says, but the path of the just is as a shining light that shineth more and more. That shineth more and more unto the perfect day. But the way of the wicked is as darkness. They know not at what they stumble. So the Lord is keeping our feet. He's not allowing us to stumble, those who are dedicated unto prophecy, because now we know exactly what's going on. We know that the end is manifest. This man's out the way. All right. And so thus, we rejoice over it. So that's pretty much all I want to touch into. Lord willing is edifying. I'm a Waffle Up a Ball. Till next time, Shalom.